Title suggestion: Why your strategy is failing. According to the 3,000-year-old oracle, you are about to make a decision that your competitors and your enemies are praying you make. You believe that more data, more force, and more speed will save you. You think that the path to victory is a straight line through the obstacle. But 3,000 years ago, a man named King Wen sat in a damp, silent prison cell for 7 years, staring at the floor, and discovered why that exact mindset is the fastest way to your own destruction. He wasn't looking at maps of the battlefield. He was looking at the fundamental code of reality itself. While his captors expected him to rot, he was decoding a system of 64 archetypal changes that govern everything from the rise of empires to the failure of your last product launch. Today, we aren't just talking about a book of fortune-telling. We are talking about the I Ching, the book of changes, and why your obsession with stability is the very thing making you fragile. The year is roughly 1050 BC. The Shang dynasty has ruled for centuries. They are powerful, they are wealthy, and they are increasingly depraved. Their king, Xin, is a man who believes he has conquered change. He thinks his power is static, a permanent fixture of the heavens. To prove his dominance, he imprisons one, the Duke of the Zhou, in a place called Yoli. For 7 years, Wen lived in the shadow of death. Every morning, he woke up not knowing if he would be executed for the king's amusement. In that state of total powerlessness, something shifted. Wen realized that the Shang king's greatest weakness was his belief in his own permanence. Wen began to refine the ancient symbols, the 8 trigrams, into 64 hexagrams. He realized that life is not a series of random events, but a sequence of inevitable transitions. When the Shang finally released him, they thought they were letting go of a broken old man. They didn't realize they had just released the architect of their total erasure. Within a few years, the Zhou had overthrown the Shang, establishing the longest-running dynasty in Chinese history. They didn't do it with superior numbers alone. They did it by mastering the timing of the heavens. Fast forward 3 millennia. We live in a world that King Wen would find unrecognizable in its technology, but identical in its psychology. We see companies like Kodak or Blockbuster acting exactly like the Shang King, convinced that because they are winning today, they will win forever. We see leaders making moves during a hidden dragon phase when they should be quiet, and we see them hesitating during a leaping in the abyss phase when they should be bold. The I Ching is the manual for those who realize that the only thing that doesn't change is change itself. If you feel like you are fighting the tide, it's likely because you don't know which hexagram you are currently living in. Let us go to the source. The I Ching does not give advice. It reflects a state of being. The first teaching we must master is the foundation of all action. It is found in hexagram 1, the creative. Specifically, the first line, Hidden Dragon. Do not act. In our modern culture of hustle, this is an insult. We are told that if we aren't moving, we are losing. If we aren't shipping, we are dying. But the sage knows better. To act before the energy is mature is to waste that energy entirely. Hidden Dragon refers to a time when your power is nascent. It is there, it is real, but the environment is not yet ready to receive it. If you reveal yourself too soon, you invite the frost that kills the bud. Look at the development of the iPhone. Apple didn't just decide to make a phone in 2006. They had been experimenting with touch interfaces and mobile computing for nearly a decade. For years, it was a hidden dragon. They didn't rush a half-baked Newton tablet to market to beat the competition. They waited until the technology, the batteries, the screens, the networks, caught up to the vision. They understood that the silence of preparation is more powerful than the noise of a premature launch. Ask yourself, are you rushing your current project because it's ready, or because you are afraid of being forgotten? The actionable principle is this: preparation is not procrastination. It is the silent accumulation of potential energy. If you are in a hidden phase, use the darkness to sharpen your blade, not to swing it. But change is not always a slow accumulation. Sometimes, it is a sudden drop. This brings us to the second teaching, found in hexagram 29, the abysmal, or water. The I Ching says, repeating the abysmal. If you are sincere, you have success in your heart, and whatever you do succeeds. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive line in the entire book. How can you have success in your heart when you are in the abysmal, a pit of danger? The metaphor here is water. Water doesn't fight the abyss. It doesn't try to climb out of a hole by sheer willpower. Instead, it flows into the abyss, fills it up, and then continues on its way. In 2011, Netflix made a decision that nearly killed the company. They decided to split their DVD business from their streaming business, rebranding the DVD side as Quickster. The backlash was instantaneous. They lost 800,000 subscribers. Their stock plummeted 77%. They were in the abyss. Most CEOs would have retreated, apologized, and gone back to the old way. But Reed Hastings understood hexagram 29. He didn't fight the change. He leaned into the danger of the streaming future even harder. He realized the abyss was the only path to the next level of the company's evolution. By filling the hole with sincere commitment to the new model, they emerged as a global hegemon. When you find yourself in a crisis, your instinct is to tense up, to freeze. But the sage becomes fluid. The actionable principle is this: the only way through the chasm is to become the water that fills it. Stop resisting the reality of your situation. Accept the depth of the danger and use it to find your new level. If the market is crashing, don't pretend it isn't. Sink into the new reality and find the flow that exists within the chaos. Now, we must discuss the most dangerous moment in any person's life. It is not the moment of failure. It is the moment of success. This is hexagram 63, after completion. The text warns, in the beginning, fortune. In the end, disorder. Think about that. The very moment you achieve your goal, the moment the project is finished, the IPO is done, the mountain is climbed, is the exact moment the seeds of your downfall are planted. Why? Because when we believe we have arrived, we stop paying attention. We stop changing. And in a universe defined by change, to stop changing is to begin decaying. Consider the story of Nokia in the early 2000s. They owned 40% of the global handset market. They had completed their mission. They were the masters of the world. Because they were in hexagram 63, they became complacent. They focused on optimizing their current success rather than looking for the next beginning. They forgot that after completion is always followed by before completion, the next cycle. When the world shifted to smartphones, the giant could not move its feet. Its completion became its coffin. Every time you win, you must immediately ask, what is the new disorder I am ignoring? The actionable principle is this: the moment you stop changing is the moment you start decaying. Success is not a destination. It is a temporary alignment with the flow of the universe. To keep it, you must be willing to dismantle it before the universe does it for you. Vary your rhythm. If you have been fast, go slow. If you have been loud, go quiet. Never let your success become a fixed point. You came here seeking strategy. Strategy is not a 5-year plan written in a binder. Strategy is the ability to perceive the hexagram you are standing in and acting accordingly. To bring this ancient wisdom into your life this week, I want you to perform 3 specific audits. No vague intentions, real actions. First, the 24-hour observation window. Most of your mistakes come from reacting to a change before you understand its direction. This week, when a disaster or a huge opportunity hits your desk, do nothing for 24 hours. Use that time to ask, is this a hidden dragon moment? Is this the abysmal? Write down the facts, not your feelings. You will find that by the time you act, the energy of the situation has matured, and your move will require half the effort for twice the result. Second, the water path audit. Look at your most difficult project right now. Are you trying to break through a wall? Are you using force against force? This is the way of the Shang King, and it leads to exhaustion. This week, identify the path of least resistance, the water path. If a client is resisting a proposal, stop pushing the same proposal. Ask what they are moving toward and pivot your energy to flow with them. You aren't giving up, you are filling the abyss to move past it. Third, the hexagram shift reset. If you have just had a victory, even a small one, you are at risk. This week, intentionally break something that is working. Change a routine. Update a process that isn't broken. Why? To remind yourself and your team that completion is an illusion. By introducing a small, controlled change now, you prevent the massive, uncontrolled disorder that the I Ching warns is coming. History is a graveyard of people who thought they could outsmart change. The generals who fought the last war. The kings who thought their walls were thick enough. The traders who thought the bull market would never end. They all fell because they saw change as an enemy to be defeated rather than a partner to be danced with. The I Ching was king when secret weapon, not because it predicted the future, but because it allowed him to accept the present with such clarity that the future became obvious. King when survived his 7 years in prison. He didn't just survive, he transformed. When he finally stepped out into the light of day, he was no longer a prisoner of the Shang. He was the master of the world, because he had mastered the lines of change within himself. You are currently making a decision. You feel the weight of it. You feel the pressure to move, to strike, to win. But remember the prisoner in Yuli. Remember the hidden dragon. Remember the water. If you believe that you have finally figured it all out, you have already lost. The Oracle's greatest gift is the reminder that the story is never over. There is always one more line to be drawn. If you found value in this transmission, the link to our Art of War playbook is in the description. It applies these principles to the modern battlefield of career and business. In our next episode, we will dive into the specific strategy of the cauldron, how to transform raw talent into undeniable authority. Do not subscribe for the sake of a number. Subscribe because you know that in a world of noise, wisdom is the only signal that lasts. The Shang King had the power, the gold, and the army. King Wen had a floor covered in sticks and a mind that understood change. We all know whose name history remembers. Be the water, not the rock.